Next we have Imai. Could Aki take the stage? Aki is a 25-year-old Japanese-American graduate student who studies clinical psychology in Ohio. Aki acts as an ally to support the voices and choices of survivors of psychiatric abuse. In conjunction with Mind Freedom International and as part of the Boycott Normal campaign, Aki launched a submission-based blog, Life After Labels, for people to submit stories about overcoming difficulties in receiving psychiatric diagnoses. Welcome.
Hello. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Good? Good. All right. I just want to say that it's an incredible honor to be here, and thank you, David, and others for having me today. So, last September, I launched a website as a Mind Freedom project, and it was a project that was backed up by David and Sasha. There we go. Sasha from the Icarus Project, and the website is called Life After Labels. And it's a submission-based blog where people can submit stories about their lives after labels, their lives after their mental health diagnoses, how they struggled through the diagnosis, how they find hope, kind of like the mental health users version of It Gets Better. So, and a couple of you have already submitted stories, and they're all very inspiring, so thank you very much for that. So why did I do that? Well, there are two reasons. The first reason is that I wanted to help people find hope. People might be confused by the mysterious label given to them, and with the DSM-5 coming out next year, which has a lower threshold for you to be diagnosed with a mental illness, people who will be given a diagnosis will be lower in age and larger in number. So with the number growing, I wanted to help people find hope by sharing each other's stories. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that I wanted to present a challenge against DSM, an entity that I think steals authorship from our own life stories. So what do I mean by that? I believe that all of us have stories. Each of us has our own unique story about who we are, about how we came to be the persons that we are. Sometimes you have a story that is quite uncomfortable, so painful, and sometimes so extreme that you want to keep it to yourself, but you can't contain it, so you need to tell someone. You might tell your parents, teachers, friends, but you freak them out, so you learn to shut up to them. You then see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and if you're not lucky, your doctor will not listen to your story and try to see how you can fit into one of their codes into the DSM. If you are lucky, your doctor may listen to your story and try to see how you can fit into the DSM. Suddenly, your story doesn't matter anymore. You are reduced into symptoms and consequently into a label. And once you're a label, you are advised, ordered, or coerced into whatever they see fit for a label to do. And I'm not saying that the label itself is a bad thing. I don't have a problem if you like your label or if you embrace your label, but the problem is that you do not have control over that label. The problem is that you're suddenly slapped on a label without much information, much explanation. You are no longer the author of your story that you don't even know anymore. We live in a time and culture where our experience is not considered real until a psychologist or a psychiatrist slaps a name on it or determines how to measure it. And there is something very wrong about that. And it reminds me of a quotation by, that I saw in the blog Son of Baldwin. And I want to thank Megan Osborne, I don't know if she's in the audience, for showing me this on Tumblr. And it goes like this. When I want to know what misogyny is, I don't ask a man. When I want to know what racism is, I don't ask a white person. When I want to know what homophobia is, I don't ask a heterosexual. When I want to know what transphobia is, I don't ask a cisgender person. When I want to know what ableism is, I don't ask an able-bodied person. The contours and definitions of repression are best articulated by the oppressed. So, likewise, If you want to understand the experience of those with psychological distress, you do not ask people who are not experiencing psychological distress. You do not ask people who are trying to categorize personal experiences into cookie-cutter definitions. You definitely do not ask people who try to make money by selling you normal. And you obviously do not ask a book of contextless codes, because we are human beings with a context. We are human beings with a body. We are human beings with a heart. We are human beings with a story with unique ethnicities, personalities, genders and sexualities, home and destinations, and you cannot objectify all of that into a simple label. Objectification is so ingrained in our society. It happens in the form of mindless consumption of the environment, sexual exploitation, and consumer manipulation. But there is so much we can take, and when it gets too much, we resist the objectification to reclaim our humanity and community. And we see it in the form of the Occupy movement. Sometimes the Occupy movement itself can become straining, because we are putting our real selves on the line. But together we will try to overcome even that. And as a couple of us made our own book for taking care of each other, and that's the Mindful Occupation. And Jonah, over there has the booklet for that, so you can ask one of us and Megan too for a copy. And this is also to make a statement that we do not need to rely on a hegemonic, oppressive system to manage us, but we can take care of each other. To take co-authorship in a movement where we can take authorship of our life stories back from the DSM and back into our lives. And that is why I made the website, and that is why I'm here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.